Welcome back to Leon the King TV. So I'm gonna jump right in today. Uh, I know that what up, nation? But I'm kind of I know I spoke on this before, and of course I want to, so I'm gonna speak on it again because I can. And the reality is, Amandla Stenberg, to me, is the reason she's the reason she got herself fired from that show, and she's also the reason I believe Disney Plus had to cancel. Disney had to cancel Star Wars: The Acolyte, the Disney Plus series last year. She's the reason why that series got canceled. Amandla Stenberg is to blame for that whole series getting canceled. On Juneteenth last year, on the African American holiday, she dropped a anti-white, anti-Semitic, anti-white music video on Juneteenth, and she's rapping in the song, and she's basically making lyrics talking about how in that song she's kind of like this, F y'all are being racist to me, blah, 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 trying to be anti-white again and bashing white people in that video. And Amandla Stenberg, to me, has to be accountable for when you make racial comments to any ethnicity, whether it's blacks, Latinos, whites, Caucasians, Asians, whatever. We cannot hate an ethnicity, a specific race or ethnicity. People have to stop that. Amandla Stenberg should be accountable for those comments that she makes. Amandla Stenberg needs to be accountable for what she does. It's just the truth. Amandla Stenberg, to me, is the one to blame for those type of situations. And to me, Amandla Stenberg, she needs to be accountable. Be accountable for your actions. If you make a decision to do something, at least be accountable for it. You know what I mean? And Amandla Stenberg was put herself in hot water, and she's the reason why Star Wars: The Acolyte was canceled. Amandla Stenberg, the problem is she constantly blames white people for everything. But if you're blaming them, why don't you look at the accountability and the things that African Americans do and black people do? And why don't you also speak on your own, since you are part African American? Why don't you speak on that part? Speak on the part that the things and decisions and choices that we make as people, and abash them and be accountable for their decisions the same way you want to do for white people. So to me, Amandla Stenberg, she speaks highly on what white people do, but to me, she's not being accountable for what black people do. And she loves to point fingers and make it seem like they're the ones who's always in the wrong. And in my opinion, that is not all, that's not always the case. Amandla Stenberg, to me, has a race issue. She has a big racial issue, and she thinks that white people are to blame and to point fingers at. And to me, I didn't see racism being a part of this show. I think that Disney, and I've said it before, Disney is about showcasing art, showcasing entertainment to younger viewers and families. Disney is family friendly, family entertainment art company. And when you are, when you Disney is meant to base. What I'm trying to say is, I know it doesn't make sense. What I'm trying to say is, Disney basically is a family company, entertainment. So their target is like families. We want to entertain children, we want to entertain families, put a smile on faces. And Amanda Stenberg, to me, brought racism into a industry, into a company, into a world where that none of that even exists. And to me, she's to blame for that. Nobody else on that series, cast, crew, anybody, spoke on racism but Amanda Stenberg. So it's a shame that, see, what I don't get is, why is it always us as black people? Can I be real? Yeah, I said it. I said it. Why is it us as black people? Do we put ourselves in hot water and we make everything about race? Amanda Stenberg made this issue about race. This is not a racial issue. I enjoyed The Acolyte. I thought it could have been a little better, but I still enjoyed it. It was a good show. But the problem is, she must be accountable for the decisions that she makes. Did she make this decision to say this thing? Yes, she did. Amandla Stenberg is to blame for the cancellation. And to me, none of the other cast members on that show spoke out about racism, but her. The one black person, the lead black actor in that whole series, basically spoke and was the only one to speak on racism. Sometimes you have to stop making everything about race and just take accountability. Amandla Stenberg made a anti-white, anti-Semitic music video on Juneteenth, attacking white people. Amandla Stenberg, as a black woman, needs to be accountable for her actions. I'll say it again. Amandla Stenberg made a anti-white music video on Juneteenth last year, around the time the show was released, and she basically made a anti-white music video, and that's why Disney was upset. That's why Kathleen Kennedy was upset. That's why Bob Iger was upset. That's why Disney was upset. And the creators of Star Wars The Acolyte and writers, directors, and producers did not want to work with her because she made that music video. It wasn't the Star Wars fans. It wasn't the Disney fans, the viewers, the watchers. It was her. It was not the fans. The fans have nothing to do with it. It was all about her in this situation, in this incident. Amandla Stenberg made a music video that basically she talked out of her ass and basically said that, it's basically Star Wars fans being racist. I don't see how the fans were racist because you put out a racist music video. So to me, there's some accountability on her part. For the people who probably were racist, there's accountability on their part as well. Why are you freaking out because we got a black lead in the Star Wars series? Why? All the other Star Wars series and films, we had white leads. We had Caucasian leads. Why we can't see a black woman lead for the first time in the Star Wars series? So yeah, I love the show. I was excited about the show. I enjoyed The Acolyte, but like I said, the reason why it was taken off, and I want to explain and get people to understand the real reason why, because a lot of y'all idiots, y'all don't do y'all due diligence. And there's a lot of people out there who really don't do their due diligence. You do not do their due diligence at all. And what I'm trying to say is, she to me is the real reason that show was canceled. When she dropped that music video, that was the problem. That was the problem. So thank you, Amandla Stenberg. I'm gonna pray for you. I'm gonna love you. You're a talented actress. I'm excited about Children in the Blood and Bone and the upcoming film she's working on. So she's got many projects coming out. I love Amandla Stenberg. She's talented. But on this situation, this incident, Amandla Stenberg needs to be accountable for what she did. She fucked up big time. She made a dumb, stupid decision, and that was dropping that music video that what basically caused her to be fired from Disney. And it's basically the reason that Star Wars The Acolyte was not renewed for another season, and it was taken off and it was canceled. So thank you to Amandla Stenberg for screwing up what the fans wanted, and thank you, Amandla Stenberg, for what she did. So at that point, it's Amandla Stenberg to blame for the cancellation of The Acolyte. It's her fault, and sometimes black people, you have to take accountability. Don't blame other ethnicities for what you did. As a black person, take accountability for the decision you made. We always cry about, it's a lot of things we cry about. So that's for a whole nother video. But like I said, we'll talk about that in a whole nother video, but a whole nother time. But like I said, it's just, we'll talk about that in a different video. But Amandla Stenberg, be accountable for when you make these decisions. Every ethnicity who does wrong, Black, white, Chinese, Asian, Mexican, Latino, Puerto Rican, Dominican, Indian, whatever, you have to take accountability for your actions. Just take accountability for what you chose to do. Race has nothing to do with it. It's not a race thing, it's an accountability thing. And hatred is wrong, racism is wrong. Racism against any ethnicity is wrong. Racism against white people is wrong. We have to stop. Racism is wrong, period. And Amandla Stenberg, she made a video that was attacking white people, and she should be accountable for it. So if she's a real woman, if she's a real adult, be accountable for the decision she made. Leon the King TV, I'm signing out.